Hey, it's your boy Dustin from the Flying Chairs, the Rise podcast, and today, oh shit, you won't believe it. I got Samuel Chong here with me, and this guy is awesome. He's a UFO researcher, book author, and he's just shedding light on the UFO phenomenon in China, especially when it's very on the DL in China about extraterrestrials and ancient astronauts. So, Samuel, can you tell us where you grew up and how you found yourself in the UFO phenomenon?
I grew up in Beijing, China, back in 1978. Back then, China was quite open in terms of reporting the news on UFOs from foreign countries. Even though it also had its own sightings, it mostly reported the sightings from overseas into the Chinese audience and public. I was intrigued by a lot of the stories that kind of shedding light in what I'm doing now today is to really connect all the dots, like ancient civilizations, the human energy fields like auras, the dangers on Earth, such as money, politicians, journalists, and drugs and religions, and also some of the other things that people don't necessarily talk about, that is religion, the stories in the Bible, how everything, the ancient scriptures are connected to the UFO or the flying saucers. For example, I learned about uh, the Star of Bethlehem, as documented in the Bible, would have been like a UFO or UAP if we see it nowadays. So I
Yep.
think there's a strong connection. And I really found out that there's one book which, in my belief, is the modern version of the book of Enoch that actually answers all the paranormal, that kind of connects all the dots in the Bible and also
Oh,
other ancient scriptures, including the ones in China and India.
wow. That is awesome. I'm a big fan of the Book of Enoch because I feel like the fact that they took that story out of the Bible, it says so much because it says a lot of like what goes on in the story. I mean, it makes sense to me that even these gods have arguments with each other and disagreements where it comes to war, and then having these angels, fallen angels, come to earth and then mating with women, creating giants, then getting God getting mad and causing floods and stuff. Even the Tower of Babel, I like to think about too, is like another extraterrestrial play at that because these people were building a tower to God and sitting in the sky, and God got jealous. And jealousy is such a petty human emotion, is it not?
Yeah.
So again, he's like, I don't like how my humans are creating so fast and want to be like me. And so he, one day when they were sleeping, he puts like a little magic spell that everybody cannot speak the same language anymore, and they will just get mad at each other and won't build anymore. And that's exactly what happened. And then like humanity spread it across the globe, and that's where we have our different languages. And that's just another theory if that's how it all became. But again, very interesting, right?
Yeah, so the title of this book is actually called the Theuba Prophecy. I believe that is the modern version of Enoch because the author was actually taken by the ETs to their planet for 9 days and then came back and wrote this book. It actually described how they communicated with each other through telepathy and how the ETs were able to perform all the magic as documented in the Bible, as what we say the miracles, like levitation, materializing objects or manifesting objects, and also healing all the diseases that we can think of. They don't die at all, according to the author, and they are forever young, like in their 30s. They are 9 or 10 foot tall, beautiful looking, like Nordic looking. They say that they have been guiding us throughout history. Like, for example, in the Bible, we read about the destruction of the two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. They say that they caused the destruction of the two cities. Um, and also, they were responsible for the birth of Jesus by implanting an embryo into the uterus of Virgin Mary. So Jesus was born. But that Jesus couldn't perform miracles. And he went to India traveled through China and died in Japan. So there's a tomb about Jesus in Japan. But Christ is a different entity. Christ is someone from them that actually took on the body that appeared to be like Jesus, made by them. So they actually made another body that appeared to be like Jesus that went to Japan, and then they did that just to have Christ perform miracles, so that people could believe in what Christ was preaching. So that's that kind of connects all the dots in my mind. So actually, I got this book published in China and Taiwan, and people were so intrigued in reading the book, and they started to question the establishment and the authorities.
Well, thank God you connected the dots.
Yeah,
No, it is. It takes people like us to actually sit down with these ancient books, and you have to get multiple different versions of these books too, because they actually have different details. And a lot of people didn't use the vocabulary to describe what they were seeing at the time too. So again, you have to take that and again, great work. That's so awesome to think about. And I know I heard that theory about how Jesus did go through India and through China and into Japan. And I heard this other thing too. You said about like all different medicines and herbs and stuff. I heard there's like a legend too where it almost sounds like an extraterrestrial type thing that in China there was this guy that could like eat every plant and poisons and stuff, and he was sort of writing it down which ones you can eat and cannot eat. Is
yes.
this right?
It's the Shenong. Shenong in Chinese is called
Yes,
Shenong.
yes. I
And
thought
he
that I
actually,
thought that was amazing. I was like, that must be an extraterrestrial. If this dudes can just eat poisonous mushrooms and stuff. I'm like, what? Yeah.
yeah, he tasted all the herbs, medicinal and poisonous herbs. And actually, the ETs in this book, Theory About Prophecy, talk about the human energy fields. And I connect the human energy fields to how the Chinese medicinal herbs and acupuncture work,
Oh yeah.
because we have different vibrations. So the vibrational frequencies show up in colors of the auras that some people can see. So we can search aura readers and we can find a lot of people who say that they can see the colors of auras. So when a person has some kind of issues health-wise, then it actually shows up in the colors of auras. If you're able to use medicinal herbs and acupuncture to really improve on the vibrational frequencies of the auras, you can actually heal a lot of different diseases. So that way, I think the Chinese medicine or herbal teas are actually using water as a carrier for the vibrational frequencies of the different herbs when you boil them into water. And then when you drink the water, the tea, then the different vibrational frequencies will become something that can improve on your human energy fields. So it's not just the chemical properties, but also physical properties of the herbs that are at play right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's amazing too. Just having that ancient story and it has that connection with ancient astronauts to me, helping mankind know what's to eat and not to eat and what herbs will be uh, health benefits. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so cool. There's other awesome stories. Like, isn't the Birdmen too in China? Or is that Japan? I might be
I think that's
using it.
probably Japan. But you know, when the author Michel Demarque from this book, he when he visited the planet Theoba for 9 days, he actually saw a lot of very interesting animals over there.
Mm,
Like for example, he saw dolphins, um, um, who really are super intelligent on their planet. He saw horsewomen, like
yeah.
a horse with wings and also with women's head, with hair, and then jumping about 3 meters tall. So, and he saw a lot of like very interesting animals that behave just like us, our animals here. It's
Yeah.
a fascinating book.
Well, it's kind of funny that Japan, I think, just passed a law now that they're going to do human hybrid animals, like kind of like Island of Dr. Moreau. I'm like, oh snap, what's
Yeah,
happening over there in China or Japan?
yeah,
So yeah, man, it's that again. I feel like we're finding old ways or in the past. Like we see this all in our mythologies and other cultures of mixed creatures, of like experimental. And yeah, and then I think even down the bottom of the ocean, I think there's alien bases that are doing their own experiments where you find all these weird, bizarre fish, and we don't even know it's in the oceans either, you know? That's
Right.
another mystery.
It's very interesting that sooner or later we're going to know that there are different kinds of ETs that have been visiting us, not just one species. For example, this group of ETs, the Theubans, have been visiting us throughout the history. Like they have been guiding us and kind of encouraging us to look towards spiritual developments, not the materialistic cravings for wealth. Uh, and they actually sent Jesus and Christ to us just to preach about spirituality, love, and the possibility of reincarnation. Because they say that the reason Christ resurrected after 3 days is just to show us that there's life after death and there's reincarnation. And actually, the early Christians, some of them believed in reincarnation until the church really didn't allow people to talk about it anymore. And the concept of reincarnation is actually no longer uh, in existence in the Bible anymore. So I think, but if you really go into other cultures like the Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism, they all believe in reincarnation um, because they have actually evidence of it in the past. And nowadays, we also have scientists or medical doctors that study reincarnation. There's one doctor called Dr. Ian Stevenson who studied 1,000 children who remember their past lives. And he
Mhm.
actually published a peer-reviewed journal, in a peer-reviewed journal called The Possibility of Reincarnation. And people can really do additional research. And also, he hypothesizes that the birthmarks that some people have are actually due to the accidents or incidents that happen in their past lives. For example, if due to trauma, one person was hit by an arrow or by a gun or something, then at the same location of the wound, then when the baby is born in this lifetime, there will be likely to be like a birthmark.
Yes,
And
I've heard that.
he found
Yeah.
a lot of evidence on that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That is very interesting. And I heard too with the reincarnation, oh, where's the was it India? Yes, it was in India. This girl, I don't know what year this was, but this is one of the most impressive reincarnation stories I ever heard. But this it took place in a small village in India where this 5-year-old girl starts remembering her past life and starts telling her parents that I have a husband and another family that lives in another village nearby. And they're like, there's no way. And so they even got more curious. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna use just go show us where and who these people are. And so, yeah, they took her to this village, and sure enough, she goes up to this house that she knew and knocks, and she starts telling everybody who in the room what their names were, and say, "This is my husband, there's my mother-in-law," and that family was so blown away that they kind of accepted her into the family whenever she wanted to come. So she lived back and forth between two families. I'm like, that is so insanely gnarly, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this book is the modern version of the Book of Enoch is because that the ETs actually took the author not only to see the our past, like the ancient civilizations, but also his personal past lives. So,
Mm,
so they took on his astral body. So we not only have our physical body, but also the astral body. So
hmm.
they took his astral body to see his past lives. So in one lifetime, he was a German miner, like a mining worker. In another lifetime, he was a Japanese goldsmith. Another lifetime, like a beggar in Africa, and a water carrier in India, or a queen of a different planet ruling over a third of a country. So he had many, many past lives. And actually, the ETs tell us that the meaning of life is just to experience and to learn the spiritual lessons that we need to learn in each of our lifetimes. And the different lifetimes are just like different positions on a wheel. What goes up has to come down. So we have to experience the different lives that we have to experience in order to learn the different spiritual lessons. So uh, there's something that the book says, or in implies that there's no need for us to really be jealous or envy other people's lives because we are going to experience being the wealthiest person in the world or being a beggar on the street. So we have to experience everything in order to improve our spirituality, spiritual development. So this is the essence of life. And it also talks about the creation of the universe, the stars, the planets, animals, plants, and also human beings. It talks about why humans are special because it's through this creation process, um, the source, the great ether, or the God, or the creator, it actually inserted a tiny portion of itself to each of our astral bodies. So
Mm.
we are part of God, and God is part of us. So this is why it says that religion is actually a curse on earth. We should be spiritual but not religious. We can communicate with the Creator directly without going through an intermediary agency like the church or a pastor or priest. We can just meditate or pray and to look inside for answers. Because one of the most important sentences in the Bible is the kingdom of God is within you. We should look inside for answers.
Yeah. No, you're right, dude. It's it's crazy. And you're right about different versions of us on Earth learning the lessons that we needed to learn. You know, again, being super poor to being super rich one day or anything in between. And yeah, I think I'm at my fill up my cup if I'm like right at this level of talking about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Uh no, it's very eerie. And I that's why one reason why I'm into this stuff, or especially with ancient astronauts, because religion doesn't really set well with me. The older books more or less do, because I feel like they tell more of the truth and about like these gods fighting amongst each other and stuff like that. Especially like in India too. I think that's fascinating, right? Like hundreds of gods coming down, some of them having blue skin with all different traits of power, and again them getting into fights with each other, and then like Prometheus, you know, giving fire to man, but again, God is like, no, I don't like that. Yeah, so it's just it's beautiful poetry, and like even like I like how the Russian astronauts call themselves cosmonauts because they believe that they're one day going back home. And it's like that's so poetic too. It's like, man, I think well, I don't know if they've been here forever. I know they've been here forever, but like I know you heard about the this new comet or mothership coming closer and closer. What are your opinions on that? Do you think it is the real deal, or is it something that we just have to wait and see?
I think we're going to have to wait and see because the more important messages given by the ETs are actually on the spiritual side.
Hmm.
I think there's a group of people here in the US uh, that are focusing too much attention on the retrievals of crashed UFOs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
I want to learn from the masters, the
Yeah.
ones whose spacecraft will never crash on Earth and didn't crash on Earth. I want to learn the more from the more advanced ETs than the ones whose spacecraft crashed. So,
No, you're
so
right.
this is what the Chinese people are doing right now. So they
Mm.
are reading this book and learning from the messages of the advanced ETs whose spacecraft did not crash and will never crash on Earth. And they're learning about this collectively at the grassroots level versus here in the US is highly compartmentalized. Only a small group of people know or are working on the reverse engineer of the technologies. I
Hmm.
think there's a big difference between the two. And I really want the US people, the people here, and to really wake up and to focus their attention on the messages and the technologies of the ETs whose spacecraft did not crash on Earth, and to learn it from the grass at the grassroots level. Because if you really look at it, great revolutions always come from the people, from the mass. It's never
Yes.
from the politicians. If you
Yeah.
really want to change something more effectively for the better of humanity. And I think this is why I really like what you're doing right now, and also so are
Oh,
the others. Um, just to really help people to understand more about the implications, especially theological and religious implications that have a lot to do with their daily lives.
Yeah. No, you're right, dude. And I'm so glad that you're pointing this stuff out. And it's pointing it again, I never looked at it from this angle too, what you were talking about earlier. That's so cool. And I was gonna say too, I was gonna say I had another question lined up. Oh yeah. Um, am I right about this that the first emperor of China came from a flying dragon or a flying chariot of some sort?
Well, yeah, there's a story like that, yes,
Yeah,
and the Chinese people do believe that there are different sources of origins of the
sure,
Chinese people.
sure. No, I think those are the guys that didn't have UFOs that crashed because obviously I think our ancient ancestors would have kept some of those pieces. But like at Pumupunku, I like that
Yeah.
story too, where uh, they say the natives that the gods made this building in one night out of these stones that was carved in like H blocks. And again, we didn't have the tools back then. They only had dental floss and chicken bones. So
Yes,
you,
actually, you know, in the book, The Yoga Prophecy, this is why I'm so into this book. It actually explains how the huge stone or monolithic structures were built,
oh,
including the Great Pyramid and the statues on Easter Island,
okay,
because we did have ancient civilizations that had far more advanced technologies than what we have nowadays.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they knew how to use anti-gravitational technologies and
yes,
also supersonic vibratory systems to cut the huge stones in a very precise manner. So this is why when you
yes,
say Pumapunku and also the other like the statues on Easter Island, they did not build using modern tools. They built it using those tools that I just mentioned
yep,
in the book. And actually, you
yes,
know, like I did some research. Modernly, there's a way to cut certain hard materials using ultrasonic uh, cutting,
vibrations.
yeah, vibrations.
Mm,
And I think in the ancient times, people used the same ultrasonic vibrations to really make the stones become soft, softening through the softening of the stones, and then they cut everything precisely. And actually, the book mentions about the ancient civilizations such as Lemuria that once
mm-hmm,
existed in the
yep,
Pacific Ocean,
mm-hmm,
and also Atlantis that existed in the Atlantic Ocean. So I think uh, there's something that happened that caused the destruction of the civilizations here on Earth in ancient times. And also since the burning of the Library of Alexandria, a lot of the knowledge was lost, ancient
sure.
knowledge. Yeah.
Sure. That's why I feel like the gods had to be somewhat on the sidelines because I believe that all culture, all religions had their kind of start from the cargo cult. And if you know much about the cargo cults, do you want me
Not
to
really.
refresh your memory? So back in World War II, when we were fighting the Japanese, when the Americans were fighting the Japanese in the Pacific Islands, some of those islands were inhabited by indigenous people that had never seen an airplane before. And so when the Americans were making bases on these islands, the indigenous people were like, "Whoa, these must be the plane. These flying machines must be came from our ancestors, and they meant for us because that's why they're here." So once the Americans left, they made runways out of the jungle, like and they wrote USA on their chest with bamboo rifles, and they made life-size airplanes out of bamboo and straw to entice the Americans or other planes to land on their airport. So if you look back further in history, that same example happens. Something physical or see with their own two eyes to actually get mankind to move megalithic blocks and shit. So like even in India, all the temples you see in India are in the shape of Vimana. So again, like once the gods left, there goes up the Vimana. So these buildings, or if you look at ancient there's a tribe called the Kayapo Indians in Brazil, and they have this awesome story about this guy who's a came from the sky with fire and smoke and landed on their mountain. And he came into their village and he was wearing this bulbous, it looked like stacked tires, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He comes in and the brave Indians that were there started trying to fight him with stones and sticks, and all the stuff that touched his clothes turned into dust. And this guy must have laughed, and he pointed out his weapon, and he pointed at a tree, and it exploded. And all the Indians ran into the bush. And then he stood in their village for days, like a statue, until some more brave Indians came to him with food to offer to his feet. And then he started speaking their language, and they're like, "Whoa! How do you know our language?" He's like, "Well, I had to listen to you guys in the bush thinking what you're going to do with me. I'm here to teach you agriculture, mathematics, uh, astronomy, and everything." So this guy lived there for years, married one of the women there. So obviously he can mate with these people. And they named a school named after him named Beb Karoti that still exists today. So they have a yearly celebration of Beb Karoti by dressing up one of the villagers in the astronaut suit. And he's just bouncing around, and the people are singing the song of how he came down and teaching them and promising one day to return. And I love that in all religions. All the gods who promise one day to return. So, yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
actually, there's a reason that I say that I consider this book to be the modern version of the Book of Enoch.
Hmm.
Because if you know the history, you're gonna see that you're gonna know that Enoch was taken away by gods or the Jehovah's, and then this book, the Book of Enoch, was written, and according to some calculations, 40 to 80 years after, his great grandson Noah was told to build an ark.
Yeah, yeah,
And this book, Theoba Prophecy, is similarly like they took him to their planet, Theoba or Jehovah, and then he was instructed to write a book. And then you can imagine what's going to happen within 40 to 80 years' time. And I don't know if anyone who reads the book has like some kind of uh, preconceived notions about what's going to happen. But what I want to say is that we can see the past. The past is fixed, but the future is changeable depending on our actions. Uh, so when people say that I predict or I prophesy something in the future, they can only prophesy certain probabilities of different scenarios that may happen or may not happen, because we as people can form collective consciousness and we can change the course of future into a better future. So this is why I think it's important to really be more spiritual and to realize that we are all the creations of the Creator. So there's really not a difference between Arabs and the Hebrews and Israelis
yeah,
and
yeah,
Chinese Americans or Japanese or Indians. I think we are all human beings trying
yes,
to learn the spiritual lessons we have to learn. Uh, so I think this is something that is kind of important in the book for people to realize and to understand.
yeah. That's really cool. And I mean, I think didn't Enoch live up to 300 years and Noah lived up to like 200? So like, again, these people have kind of like hybrid lives. I feel like people lived a lot older back then. I feel like
Yeah,
now it's like
speaking
we kind of like now they kind of like made us that we just kind of die at 60.
yes, speaking of that, I can give you a
Yeah, please.
reasonable and probable explanation why that's the case. And actually, according to this book, there are different kinds of or different categories of planets in the universe.
Hmm.
They live on category 9 planet, the highest category in the universe. So they don't die because they can regenerate their body tissues and cells. They're forever young looking, like in their 30s. And if you read the Bible, the Old Testament, you're going to realize that in the old times, people lived 800, 900 years. And also the Hebrews were chosen by the Jehovah's or the Theophans for a reason, because it came originally, this is a little bit sensitive. They originally came from a different category of planet.
Hmm.
So Earth was a category 1 and is still category 1. but the
Right.
Hebrews came from a different category. And so this is why they were able to live a little bit longer in the past. But as we approach the modern days and things change, so we all live for 60 or 70 or 100 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. And there's another amazing story of the Bible I thought was amazing, and Eric von Daniken made some really amazing connections with was the Enoch. Oh, sorry, not Enoch. Ezekiel and
Oh,
this
yeah.
and the wheel. And that one's very, very interesting to me because the fact that he goes up with God too and was asked to go measure a certain building. And he's like, he even had the courage to ask God, why am I doing this? And he's like, I brought you here to do it, so do it, you know? So, anyways, it's amazing that in the future that two other guys that Eric Von Daniken kind of resonated to think more about and lived in two different countries. One was an astronaut here, or no, maybe he's not an astronaut, maybe a engineer astronaut from NASA. Heard a speech about Eric Von Daniken talking about Ezekiel's wheel and the connection with that. So enough for this guy who's like, I'm going to prove Eric wrong. But he ends up finding all these different versions of the Bible, and he's like, actually, I kind of agree with Eric. This is insane. There's just too much detail on what Ezekiel is witnessing and seeing and feeling and touching and interacting with. And so the guy in Germany, I think, takes the other part of the Bible literally with the measurements and does the measurements of this thing. And the other guy in NASA makes the spaceship of the spinning wheel of what Ezekiel saw. And the two never met, but then the two models they put together and it fit like a puzzle piece. Right? It's just like, and it's kind of like God knew that. Like, I mean, it just takes, it's kind of like these star seeds that, like Einstein and Tesla and other things that kind of explode humanity in a direction of progress, And I think that was kind of a sort of way of showing, yeah, there's some connections here. And you guys are smart enough, so just get start to put the pieces together. And like you are starting to put the pieces together. You're doing research and, uh, how like Jesus came across India and through China and Japan, and then the extraterrestrials connection with that. That is so dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people can find the tomb of Jesus in Japan if they just do a search online. In Shingo Village, Japan, and people can actually visit. And the descriptions in the book, Theory about Prophecy, match the descriptions reported by mainstream media. Like, remember the book Theory about Prophecy was published in 1983, before the age of the internet. And the author, Michelle, was just a farmer, landscaper in Australia who didn't know how to type on computer. So he really had no knowledge about Japan before he wrote a book. And he never traveled to Japan, yet he was able to describe in details
Mhm.
uh, the tomb of Jesus in Japan. He also describes in details what happened during Exodus, who really parted the sea for Moses,
Mhm.
who gave the manna for the Hebrews to eat, and really, uh,
Yes. Yes. I heard the nano machine.
yes.
That is amazing.
And also, it corrected some of the things described in the Bible. For example, it says that the Moses crossed the Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea, but the Sea of Reeds, which is a shallow sea.
Hmm.
So they used their force field to open the waters, um, so that Moses could help the Hebrews to cross the sea. And then there are some other details that I would suggest people to read about, to
Yeah.
look more in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what do you think about the Ark of the Covenant? There's a few theories of where it's buried or where it's hidden. There's a church in Ethiopia that claims that they have it and they have a guard. It's interesting about Ethiopia and this one church. And it seems like the one monks or priests who take care of this end up dying at an early age because there's stories of even in the Bible of like things getting too close to it and you die, you know, or even certain priests, even like the ones who were well equipped with chest plates and gloves and other things. The dude had to have a rope tied around his leg going up to it because if he died, his friends can't pick him up because they can't get close to the ark. So, no, that's an amazing technology, and people said they could speak through to God through it too. As like, there's so many multi purposes. Was it just like, and it makes sense that if they handled some radiation type thing, ancient people wouldn't know what that is and know what to do with, you know. So again, people were dying left and right, getting sick, getting close to this thing. And yeah, I guess it was like bad luck once it was like once captured from somebody captured it and they brought it over and then stuff went mayhem. I think it was like they thought it was cursed. So he's like, get rid of that shit. But no, that's another amazing story. And then like even the Nazis were all about getting all the ancient relics. And the fact that they traveled all the way to Tibet, you know, to find the hollow earth and um even going to Antarctica with three big expeditions of building bases and submarines. And there's other stories of Project High Jump when the Americans were trying to stop some of the Nazi advance down there. But again, it's so, even with the Nazis themselves, they're so sci-fi. Even because they were so ahead of their time with technology and it came with such force and it was just weird how did it all pop off. And there's stories of crash UFOs and reverse engineering, or they had the occultic society using psychics to you know contact ETs. Yeah, man, it's like it's just a whole rabbit hole when it goes to the Nazis, and then it comes to UFOs and reverse engineering. And we had Project Paperclip that came along with the end of the war there, that we took all their scientists and started saying, okay, we know you know something. And Warner Von Braun, like that guy was the top frontier of the Nazi rocket program. And yeah, well, man, there's so much. There's just so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one thing is that the ETs actually intervened during World War II.
Oh,
Germany was actually very advanced in developing the atomic bomb.
yes.
And Dr. Heisenberg was one example. And according to this book, The Theobald Prophecy, they actually prevented Germany from being the first country to develop the atomic bomb. And I did some research. It turns out that Dr. Heisenberg made a very stupid mistake, a miscalculation that resulted in Hitler believing that Germany didn't have enough natural resources to make the bomb, plutonium.
Um,
Yeah, so that's what happened. And then the ETs say that they did so just to end the war much earlier than anticipated if the U.S. didn't deploy the bomb in Japan. And then they sided with the U.S. government because at that time the U.S. government was more uh, kind of sincere in protecting individual liberties than Germany. So that's the reason. I think this book has a lot of details, interesting details that interested people can delve into those and do additional research.
that's amazing. Actually, I own one of the original photographs. This is taken in Japan of two orbs or some kind of circle UFOs, but it has Colonel Wendell Stevens' handwriting
Oh,
in the back. It was taken in 74. So again, I love the older pictures. And actually, I could show the other, the ones that went viral. I have photographs of an F-117 stealth fighter with a UFO over the ocean of Pensacola, Florida. Let's see here. So some guy was on the beach taking shots of this. I don't know if this thing came out of the water. This is Pensacola, Florida, 94. And then you see the F-117. I have 12 photographs of the F1 taking kind of swings at it to get more of a better glance of it.
mm,
They're not in order, by the way. they're kind of out of order, but
Yeah, the ETs from Theoba, their spacecrafts are not like saucers. They're like spherical, like a ball shaped
oh, okay. Yeah.
spherical
Kind of like
craft.
the Foo Fighters. And there's, I guess, reports during World War II in Japan of the Foo Fighters too,
Um,
not just Germany.
yeah,
But no, it's just, yeah, man, it really makes you think. And then, again, I'm very blessed that I got all these photographs from that auction I was telling you about. But yeah, it's just, man, it's still so much. I feel like
did
there's
he
so much to
write
come. I'm sorry?
did he write anything or write any notes on
Well,
some of
only, yeah, just the back of the photographs. Some like I have some of the negatives here. Let's see.
mm,
I guess you know who Paul Villa is from
mm,
19, I think 1965. He claimed that his soul had a connection with these brown-haired, blue-eyed, 7 foot tall humans, and yeah, they would just like he would get telepathic messages in his head to go places, kind of like Billy Meyer.
mm.
I don't know if you know much about the Billy Meyer case.
Yeah, I kind of know, yes.
Yeah, but just amazing. You know, I don't know if you could see more. But...
Yeah, I can see very clearly. Yeah, those actually are the pictures reported, I mean, documented by the Chinese magazines when I was young.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I have some that are landed.
Oh, like what do the notes say on the other side?
Oh,
Like,
well, he has these. They're kind of like they tell what the ships are. These are Paul
oh,
Villas.
I see. Are you gonna make this public?
Oh yeah, I already have.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like it's. I mean, I do it all the time. So I mean, like it's hard to get the. I think it's got to have the right ear to get someone that really want, like someone from Ancient Aliens or someone from the government. I would like to have someone come from the government or have me come to Congress with this goddamn thing and say, "Hey, explain this." Right?
Mm.
I don't know.
Do
Um,
you know do you know Danny Xuan?
no.
You know, he is a lawyer that trying to push some of the bills passed in Congress,
Oh,
and he's a lawyer, constitution lawyer. And do you know Michael Schratt?
no, I don't.
Okay, he does a lot of studies on the UFOs. Maybe I can
Oh,
have
that'd be
him to
great.
contact you.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Again, I love to disclose these because I feel like I have better evidence than a lot of stuff I've seen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just like this came from Colonel Wendell's. You know who? You know, again,
yeah. I
a
know
lot
who
of
you.
not you, just in general. Like for people who, like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, come talk to me. So,
Yeah.
and then people are kind of surprised that none of them have asked me or any of that. But I've been in contact with MUFON. I was with the head director in Illinois a year ago. Showed him that, and him and his colleagues, their eyes were like, and their mouths were, and they're all like crowded around, and they're like, "Oh my God!" And they're like just because they never seen it like in holding it in their own hands. It was like the most mind blowing for them. And yeah, I was with them for a while, and they're like, I want all your information. I want your email, your phone number. I want to keep in contact with you. And yeah, so I have, and like I've been keeping contact with other people who were
So,
very interested in these photographs.
so Windell has two boxes of documents or photos only, or did he have more
Oh, he
than
had
two
more.
boxes? He had
Yeah, I just
more.
couldn't get all of it. No, he had.
Where did the rest go?
I don't know. It was all, yeah. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more of them pop up online saying, "Hey, I got some of the Colonel Window stuff," but I don't know.
And did you, when you got it from the custodian, did you get it directly from the custodian or did you get it
I
through
got it from
auction?
where the storage locker was held. It was in Utah. Uh, it's kind of like a bookstore.
Oh. Did you
Like
later get the other boxes?
I I would love to help you search for some of those if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, because I don't know where they went or who they went off to. But yeah. Again, I
Yeah.
was very fortunate. I spent a pretty penny knowing that these were going to get a lot of attention. Um, and yeah, I didn't really know what were in the boxes besides some documents or photographs. And lucky I had a bunch of photographs. I was like, shit.
Mm.
But yeah, man, that was so great. Hey, can you tell my audience where they can find you and your work?
They can find me by searching my name on the search engines or on Facebook, and they can find the book Theobald Prophecy by going to Amazon, and also it's on Audible as an audiobook read by a British narrator. Very
Oh,
pretty accent.
yeah, awesome. I love the British accent too.
Yes.
I kind of wish Americans had that.
Yes, me too.
It's so proper. Even when they get mad, they don't sound mad.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Well, hey, Samuel, that was awesome. I would love to have you back on. I'd like to maybe have you with other big namers on if I have some other big guys come on. I'd love to have you join because I think you would throw some awesome wisdom down and some awesome theories. And yeah, I just love to connect again. That'd be great.
Great, I'd love to.
Sweet. Hey, can you stay with me for 2 more minutes?
Sure.